Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Joy. I'm an energy healer, spiritual advisor, and life coach. My passion is to raise people's vibration for holistic freedom lifestyle. In today's episode, we have a special guest, Christopher, join us talking about depression symptoms and treatment. How are you, Christopher?
Hello, I'm very good.
So Christopher is a spiritual psychologist and consultant, and he has gone through some awakening journey. Has also had many psychic gifts. So today we're talking about depression. Can you tell me depression? How does it get started? Like how would people having this? What's the trigger normally?
Well, there's many things. There's no one trigger. Let's just get it out the way first. There could be things from childhood, because as we know, whether it's spiritual psychology or psychology, your emotional development's up to a certain time in childhood, and some of them things can affect you. Also, there could just be simply things like your job, your lifestyle, or maybe your life hasn't turned out the way it should be, your relationship status, family member passed away, whatever it is, right? In the form of energy, depression is very cold.
Right. So that means if we because we all have our emotion surfacing. So when we have depression, it sounds like we not able to release the emotion properly, and then it's stored in your system, and over the time it become a static energy, right?
Well, I would choose the word stagnant, because
Mm,
stagnant water is not good. You can't drink it. It will poison you. And
mm,
it's the same thing with energy. If energy doesn't flow, much like your blood in your body, if that doesn't flow and become stagnant, your heart would have probably stopped. So therefore, you won't be alive anymore. The same thing with energy. It can kill your emotional body or your emotional self. It can compress your emotional self, or it can degrade. Sometimes all three, sometimes bits of each. And some people choose to cut their emotions off, which is another symptom or side effect of depression.
mm. So do you think people are more or less have certain degree of depression, or it's just you have to reach to certain, I don't know, criteria um to decide if people they are having these depressions we call
Well,
symptoms.
in this modern world, there is bits and pieces of it everywhere. You can't barely get away from it. There's an old saying, uh, it power is an illusion between those that have it and those that don't. Yeah, the ones in power want you depressed. They want you compressed. You don't come out of it, so you don't speak up. Then there's the other hand. You need a system. You need something to work. So you say, well, we'll balance that. But if you're in a rat maze and you can't get out of it, you've got no turnings to go to. So therefore, it's very difficult for people to understand what's causing their depression. And sometimes they're going to the wrong place, or they don't know the real reason for it. And that is one of the most massive things in society. So it's a very big thing at the moment. There's a lot of differences in lifestyle, gender roles. I could go on forever, but it's making everybody at odds and giving them reasons to compress themselves.
Yeah. So how do we bring this awareness to people to be aware if they are in this depression situation? How would you tell people about it to be aware about themselves if they are into depression?
Well, the awareness thing comes by, you can only do it several ways. One would become enlightened, which would be to know yourself. One would be to become wise, which is you know others, which would mean you seek others' advice, in turn becoming enlightened. You're just doing it from the outside in. You can do things in your life that help, but I would recommend getting some form of guidance. guidance is important because we've got less friends than we've ever had in society. We're on social media, it's likes, it's dislikes, and it's just not a real connection anymore sometimes.
Mm.
You know, liking somebody's post might make you feel better temporarily, but is that an addiction that you want?
Yeah,
That
or
you have
just
to depend on that to get
mm,
endorphins? Like smoking a cigarette or drinking a pint of beer, you become addicted.
yes, because sometimes people tend to replace one habit just to sort of hiding another
Indeed, yeah.
their emotions, so hidden away, but it's not actually really solve the problem. So maybe you can tell us what are the common symptoms for depression that people will
Common.
come across.
Well,
Symptoms.
you see, that would depend what type of depression you've got. You've got
So
depression through stress, something like post-traumatic stress disorder, which people coming back from the military would be able to tell you about, or people going through psychological abuse, maybe, or otherwise, which I've experienced a lot of these different things in one way or the other. I was never in the military, but I've experienced it where I grew up. It was quite violent. So the the idea of it is that that's something that can haunt you, and that's a form of depression, depressed emotions that come out maybe in your sleep or in your subconscious mind, through dreams, through overpowering feelings. Um, and these are all the symptoms of it. So you can see, if you see somebody's got a side effect or a symptom, so the symptom could be, it could be the way they behave. They might sit in a corner all the time, or they might do things they never used to do, or they might talk to people they'd never used to talk to. There's so many different ways you can be depressed. Depression's not limited to your lower energies. It can be in your heart energy too. It could be anywhere. It can corrupt and affect anywhere. It's like freezing your energies. That's why they say it's stagnant. It's much more than that. It's like turning the water into ice.
right.
Depression is like a block of ice. It's hard to move if you don't know what you're doing.
So my question is that a direct relationship in terms of how the depression forming versus how the time you need to release the depression itself?
That all depends on several factors: the type it is, how it came to be, and the type of person you are. Some people can get over things quickly. Some people, short period of time. Time is irrelative when it comes to depression. But I would say if we go and we think from a scientific point of view, a depression or a breakdown could take you 3 to 6 years on average to get rid of, with the right sort of people around you, with the right things going on. A lot of people have rebounds. So I've broken my heart because I was in a relationship, say. I'll go to the next person. It's called a rebound. It's rebounding off the wall. You ain't actually solving anything. You're just trying to put a plaster on your heart. So this is what people do in society. They put a band-aid. Yeah. So the relationship between what the depression is and how long it takes to heal is dependent on what methods you use to heal it. That's the most important thing, and plus the sort of person you are, what level you're already at, energetically or otherwise. Some people are just psychologically, logically minded, and they're pretty good at. There's no good getting rid of your emotions because it will surface later on. People, as I said earlier, they cut their emotions. That's something you don't want to do. You might have to cut it to go to work. That's another problem I have, but that's for another story. If you're going to work, it's going to slow your recovery down.
Oh,
It,
why?
well, it would depend on the person again, but with a lot of people, it can slow your recovery down. Some people, because you're just burying it, so you're burying it in the work. They say, "Oh, I go to work; it helps me. I focus on something else," but you're not dealing with it.
Mm.
Focusing on something else. So while you're focusing on, you have to go through that hurt and that pain. You have to let it burn you out. You have to let the pain come out naturally. Because if you don't, you'll end up in a situation where you keep it and it'll come out at a later date, go away and come back again.
Yeah, because now we sort of, because when you talk about depression, you will more or less tapping into the process of recovery, because it doesn't, there, as you said, there are many different ways, and they are, of course, we need to go to the professional for treatment when necessary. But when we are by ourselves, and for whatever we're able to handle as a personal level, what would be your suggestions in general?
I would say some simple lifestyle choices help to a point. What you eat, regular exercise, the people you hang around with. But also, I'd recommend going to seek somebody, whether that's a spiritual person, if that's what you prefer, or somebody else. Me personally, when I had a problem when I was younger, I went to a priest because I consider them spiritual to a point, even if they're not a spiritualist or they're not spiritual. The guy I went to was ex-military. He he was kind of my sort of man, and I knew I could relate to him. Whereas normally I don't trust counsellors or other people unless they're spiritual or they're religious or something like that. I've got more trust for them sort of people. That worked for me,
Yes.
Um,
So
yeah.
it seems like it's quite important to able to talk to someone, because I think talking to someone is where release your pain, your sorrow. It's also a way of releasing your emotion.
It's not just about talking to people, it's about the energy you exchange. So, for example, I heal healers. I heal other healers, as you very well know. You know that.
Yeah.
So when a healer's got a problem, they come to me. Someone often asks me before, who heals the healers? It can only be someone that's on a higher level or whatever, obviously. But not to blow my own trumpet or anything like that. But let's just say that you have to go to someone that's more stable than you, right? And it doesn't matter what it costs you or what you need to do to get rid of it, because that is only you giving up a piece of material, right? Regardless, we know how hard it is to work. We know how hard it is to pay bills. Yeah, I'm an average guy. I have to work and pay bills. But at the end of the day, I can still, have what I've got, because at the end of the day, it doesn't stop you being who you are. If you're going to be that person, you'll be that person. But sometimes in life, we're weaker, we're stronger. No one is equal to the way they were yesterday. People should remember that. Because yesterday I could be like King Kong, and then tomorrow I am Jerry out of Tom and Jerry. I'm this little mouse thing running around, And the idea of it is people fluctuate, and I think they want to remember people. They don't want to. One thing is with depression, they want to remember who they're talking to and respect them, because not just when they're weak. When they're weak, they go to that person. They should forever respect that person for what they've done for them. Because at the end of the day, they can say, well, I don't owe you nothing. But at the end of the day, respect is very important, I think.
Right.
To show respect
Yes.
is a form of love. It's a form of love. We can all love ourselves, which we need to learn, but we should love other people. And if somebody's done something for you, they should be respected. They should be loved.
Right. So, and I understand this is a way of talking to people. Consultation is very helpful. What about we know when we let out our emotion, like crying? How do you think, to what extent it will help you to release or recover from depression? What's the crying playing the role in terms of
Crying is more of a let go, when your mind can't take it anymore, your emotions overwhelm you and you cry. That
Right.
also, that comes from the sort of background you've had from childhood. It also comes from, because of the way you were brought up, might be that crying is a way. There's no shame in it. I've cried. I cry. Some people think of me as a big tough man, like especially where I work, but they wouldn't see this side to me. But this is me, So I obviously do security, as you know, in the Rough Hospital, and I see all sorts of mental health every day, and I see people crying, right? And yes, for crying is an emotional release. It's not the end all and be all, but it can be important. If you're on that, if your emotions are really strong and powerful, then yeah. But it's important who you cry in front of, because you
Some
need somebody you trust,
right.
and you shouldn't just throw that person away afterwards, because that person could help you in infinite amount of ways and time, and it shouldn't be about just what they're doing for you, because the important thing about depression and releasing, if you don't have respect for the person, they become a punch bag. And if they become a punch bag, you're not helping yourself, because you're using somebody. And if you're using somebody, you're not going to help yourself in the long run. You may never get rid of your problem, because it's okay for now. It's like the addiction on Facebook or whatever you're doing, social media, it's the same thing. Oh, I'm going to be an Instagram model. That's not going to help your depression, love. Or I'm a big muscly guy in the gym. Okay, that's good, mate. Well done. But how do you really feel? It can affect anyone from all walks of life. I've seen really big muscly guys, they cry, big strong men. I've seen women cry. I've seen children cry. I work in a hospital, I've seen it all. But they are releasing their emotions in a way that they feel is external.
Sometimes
Let go.
because sometimes I find, in terms of releasing emotion, sometimes crying is actually a better way. I mean, instead of sometimes you are too sad to cry, I think it's actually worse, because for myself, I went through some period of time that I'm too sad that I couldn't cry. So how do you handle this type of situation?
Well, like I said, crying's not the only way to release. So maybe at that time, it wasn't just that you were too sad to cry. There must have been something else in play. It could be in terms of ego, or it could be in terms of compression.
Yes, compression. Yeah.
Yes, compression. Yeah. But the ego helps for the compression, because the reason you're compression is because you don't feel comfortable with releasing that, or you don't want to release that at that time, or you don't want to. So the ego does play its part, because what the mistake people make is they think ego is not important. It doesn't matter how spiritual you are, how much you meditate, ego is very important. It's just that the way you use it, and the way it pans out, it's a tool. Ego is a very good tool, and it helps you to survive. It helps you to understand things. Without it, you won't know. But some people have too much ego, and some people have none, or try to get rid of it, but they don't realize they've still got an ego, but they think they haven't.
Yes, yes. I think
Don't
that
don't don't delude yourself. That's the
yes,
key.
I think yeah, ego is an interesting topic. It itself can be an episode, and separate topic itself. Yeah. So when we talk about this the releasing, so I think when you are aware, like some emotion they are surfacing, right? And then how do you help yourself to release in a way? Because of course, if you go to professional, they have professional way can assist you, but sometimes we're not really always accessible to go to, when in the middle of the night, sometimes you feel very there's emotions that coming up, and then you really feel it so strongly, and then no one to talk to, you don't feel like crying, and then what would you do? Because you become a crowded kind of situation. What would you do?
Well, if you're alone and you need to cry and you can't cry, or you feel trapped in your emotions, you need to either find somebody to talk to on a regular basis, maybe not at that moment, or as I've done in the past, maybe have an outburst, release it.
Netburst, what is that?
Outburst
Outburst.
of
Okay.
energy.
Oh, like how? Is this particular?
Well, oh, there's many ways to do it. You could hit a punch bag. You could
Uh,
scream very loudly
mm,
and release the energy. You
mm,
could do many different things. You could go in the middle of the night like Keanu Reeves and drive a motorbike with no headlights on. There's many crazy things people do. So it could be a simpler thing. I've seen this thing in an office. It's like a punch thing, and they put it on their desk. When they feel frustrated, they hit it, and it just bounces back. So like
yeah.
because you'll cry and you're upset, but you've got to have a way to channel that. You have to learn to channel it, control it.
Yeah, but because as you said, when you try to outburst, sorry, excuse me, when you try to outburst your energy, but sometimes you can trigger something can be dangerous, because sometimes people they go crazy, they want to go jump off the river, they want to, as you say, they ride motorbike can be very like speeding, that
Yeah.
type of thing. So
I
sometimes
mean,
crazy thing can happen.
I deal with people like that at work all the time, right?
Mm,
And we have to talk them down from roofs and all sorts of places. Some of them you have to physically grab them because
mm,
they're so adamant they want to go. Most of them, they're just looking for attention.
mm,
But some of them, you have to grab because they're going to go over, right?
right.
So the thing with it is obviously it depends on your circumstances. I would say you need to put yourself in an environment where you can trust people, but then you've got to learn to respect them because you won't have that trust forever otherwise.
Mm,
That's the key. It's a mutual thing. It doesn't matter what you do or who you go to. If you go and pay a psychologist or you go and see a reader, like that's another thing I like to do when I've had problems in the past, because I was going on my spiritual path my whole life. I've had my abilities since I was young. I started with the yoga then at a young age, and then I went through about a depression that I was up and down. And then I did the yoga. I was great, and I went through one more bout of depression on and off for the past 3 years, and I've only just come back to where I am now. So in that time, I still was trying to practice control. It took me a few years to get back where I am now. Sometimes getting knocked off the horse, you just have to get back up again. It depends on you as a person, the way that you release it. But I would definitely recommend going to see someone, whether it's a card reader or a spiritual psychologist like myself, or an actual psychologist or a counselor, somebody that you trust, a priest, even. Now,
mm,
some people might not be able to help you, but search until you can find that help. But respect is important because it's like some people talk about karma or karmatic or energy. If you don't respect the person and you use them like a punch bag, it doesn't matter who they are, even if you're paying them or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you don't have that respect, if you don't feel, then you're causing your own problem because someone's helped you in life, they've helped you on your path, and I'll have to be straight. That person has then rejected the help that they've received by not respecting that person emotionally and mentally and otherwise.
mm,
You need to respect yourself and respect others. It's not just about self-love, and that's a problem. If everybody gave each other that little bit more love, we wouldn't have to worry about loving ourselves as much because we would be interdependent on each other. But we don't live in an environment like that anymore, especially not in the West. Yeah, you go to the east, everybody's like street parties. They won't need to. They go to a healer. They don't need to go to the doctor. They use herbs, things that we've forgotten about, that will heal things that the pharmaceutical companies are giving you. Like they'll give you an antidepressant here. Healer will put you in a meditative state, and then you'll walk out feeling great. You know, you could go to a reader, and they give you the energy, and then you just think to yourself, wow, you know what I mean? Okay, I paid that person $10 or $15, whatever it is, but wow, what have they done for me? You understand? I've just took
Yes.
some of their energy. I shouldn't expect to have that for free. You
Yes.
understand what I'm trying to say? Because I have took a piece of their life force with me. They've used their life force to help me.
Yes, I think you make a very good point here, because of course, if you in this people in that depression situation, they need help, but they also need to respect the people helping them, even though they have, they pay money or energy exchange, but still, because the vibration itself would affect what the person is receiving as well. So
It's all right when you're in your 20s, you think you're indestructible, everything seems to be coming your way because people seem to do things for you, or when you're a really young person. But wait until a couple of years down the line, people are not going to give you that same respect you had when you were young, because we live in a material world and they like all of this. They like the way that somebody looks, or like what somebody is and what they're doing. So you're just entertaining people, and you're not learning the true value of gratitude and respect. And that is a part of depression as well. You are depressing your emotions, love, and respect for others. Therefore, even if you think you love yourself, how can you love yourself when you haven't got the capacity of loving others? How do you really know what the loving yourself really is? So it's about finding people like-minded, or seeing somebody to help you. These readers and these energy people, and also, there's a lot of them. They're not fake at all. They're great. They're brilliant. They will send you on your way feeling brilliant. They might give you 6 months worth of energy in 1 hour.
So
You
you
know,
mean healers, not readers, because I thought you said readers. Healers.
some readers are healers
Okay.
as well, so they are
Right.
healing you still.
Yes. So yes, there's also some healing energy involved. So just wonder, for yourself, how do you? What's the turning point? Like, when you know yourself into depression, and how? What's the turning point? Make you feel like you recovered, and how did you feel after that? Because there must be some incident, make you feel like, oh, I'm a different person. So could you
Kind
share with
of. I
us?
mean, well, my awakenings helped that I had, but because they're my reawakenings actually. It's like a phoenix. Everybody's different though. So I can't sit here and say, well, that feels better for me, so it's going to feel better for you. But when I recently went through my reawakening, my power roof was through the level. I felt like a phoenix. That's the only way to describe it. Like my energy was everywhere. But that's because of the nature of who I am. I was born with my gifts. I was born with my power level. So I have always had it. I just didn't know it when I was young. People could sense it in me.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, continue. Sorry.
yes, and I think it's a very personal thing. But one way to know that you're out of depression, it's not just happiness. People think they have to feel that happy, joyful feeling. It can be, and that can help, and that can jerk you back in. But remember, being neutral is a good thing too, because it means you're balanced. It doesn't mean you won't go up and down a bit, but I would say, you know, see somebody that could guide you. If you're undisciplined, discipline is very important to get out of depression. Discipline is a key, something we haven't got in society at all. Something you let your kids run around, you let them do whatever they want. It's been going on for a long time. And that lack of discipline is causing depression in society, if you ask me, because it's letting people do what they want when they want with very little consequences. And then at the end of it, when you become an adult, you can't explain why the world's like what it is because you haven't been disciplined into it slowly. So you're going from one extreme to the other. And that's a problem that we have and cause it in a big way. So when you're a kid, you see a kid's happy. Does that mean they can't be depressed later? No. It means that maybe they're unbalanced. They're too happy at one point, not happy at all at the other.
Yes, I think it's also very important to start from, as you said, the foundation, starting from how we educate our children and the influence of the society and social media is actually play a big role here. So I really want to thank Christopher bring us so much valuable information because he giving us from different perspective as how depression can influence in this energy level, emotional level, and how to release them so that people are able to find the balance back. So if you are interested, if you have more questions or you want to have personal consultation with Christopher, you can check out the link, the information I provided below. You can go through by contact me, and I will be make sure pass on to Christopher. He is very experienced. He able to offer you in terms of the understanding of spiritual psychology. Including the energy level. And as you can see from the way he talks, he's not just about the certain level, he's quite balanced in all areas as an individual. So it's actually able to provide you with whole picture of how to help people work getting out of that situation. So I want to thank you, Christopher, for sharing your experience and advice. So if you want to book a session with Christopher or have some consultation session, feel free to look at the link below. And also don't forget to like the video and share this video to people who need this information. And don't forget to subscribe my channel, and we'll hope to see you soon in our next episode with Christopher for more interesting topic of interview. So thank you, Christopher. Thank you again for joining me today.
I will say in Spanish, hasta la vista.
All right.
My Spanish friends.
Thank you so much. So I think I'll end this live stream today, and hope you enjoy this episode. We'll see you soon. Bye.